everyone, I hope that you're having a wonderful day. I recommend you to go for a cup of coffee and make yourself comfortable because today we're going to talk about one of the most important architectural work of Romanesque art, that is the Church of St. Michael of Hildesheim. This church, listed as a World Heritage Site in 1985, is located in Germany at the western end of the center of Hildesheim in the St. Michael's Hill. This church was founded in the 9th century, around 1010, by Bishop Bernward of Hildesheim. Bishop Bernward was an influential and an important political and religious leader in that age during the Holy Roman Empire. He directed this construction in honor to the Archangel Michael, that was the one who leads the dead person, the dead people, to the heaven, because the Bernward's plan was to be buried in that church when he died. Spoiler, he died long before the church was completed. During the Middle Ages, the church experienced great prosperity and growth, becoming this one of the most important centers of Christian faith in that region of Hildesheim. Several constructions were built around the main church, including the cloister and the chapel dedicated to Saint Bartholomew. In the 11th century, the church was rebuilt in an Romanesque style under the patronage of the Emperor Henry II and his wife Cunegund. This reconstruction resulted in one of the masterpieces of the Romanesque architecture in Europe. During World War II, the wooden covered ceiling was removed. The choir, arcs, and the old columns were covered by concrete. On March 22, in 1945, the church was destroyed by bombing. But the covered ceiling, the art that was inside the church, and the buildings that were protected with this concrete was safe. The church was rebuilt again in the original style between 1950 and 1957. The Romanesque architecture of St. Michael's Church in Hildesheim presents several features that makes it stands out as a masterpiece of the Romanesque style. The western part of the church is one of the most impressive features that this church have, with its twin towers rising into the sky. And these towers are decorated with blind arcs, columns, and sculptures representing religious and symbolic figures. Although less common in Romanesque architecture than in Gothic architecture, St. Michael's Church has tracery windows that allows light to enter to the inside and provides a touch of delicacy to the structure. Romanesque architecture is characterized by its simplicity and its solidity, and St. Michael's Church reflects these characteristics with its robust design and functionality and structural stability. Now let's talk a little bit about the geometrical composition in this church. First, the naves of this church are rectangles. The side naves are half in the central nave, and these naves are crossed by a rectangle that ends in two circles. One of those circles is the first choir, that starts as a rectangle and ends in a semicircle. On the other side, we found the second choir that has one big semicircle and other two little circles to each side. Regarding to the typology, the church has a Latin cross plan with a double choir and double transept. We can also see that there is a vertical symmetry both in plant and elevation parts. All of these shapes and the construction of the church makes a linear space that ends in an apse where the believer is obligated to follow the route and the way, as this is a space to communicate with God. And about the material, the church has an ashlar wall, that is a stone wall, that are placed one next to the other so they can support each other, and they are over other stones using a mortar. And in certain parts of this church, it's not all the same. There are differences because the church was destroyed and then rebuilt. Together, all the features makes the Romanesque architecture of the St. Michael's Church of Hildesheim one of the most notable and important of its kind, attracting visitors and admirers from all the world. The paintings in the main nave of this church were created during this period of art called the Romanesque art. That's why this church, that was obviously an important architectonic work, has these paintings in his main nave because of its importance in the culture and as a religious center. These paintings were created using different and unique techniques common in the Romanesque period. For example, this technique involves applying the pigments on a layer of wet plaster, allowing the colors to penetrate on the surface and adhere to the wall permanently. Artists had to work quickly and with a lot of precision because this plaster dried so fast. So this requires a lot of skills and concentration. And in addition to fresco, there were a lot of other techniques. For example, the dry painting for fine details and the tempera to highlight specific areas. These techniques allowed the artist to make long-lasting works with vibrant colors that you can see nowadays in this church. The iconography in this painting have a variety of religious themes. You can find these representations in the Old and New Testament. You can see the figures of saints, angels, prophets, and other biblical saints. For example, the Nativity, the creation, the Annunciation, the crucifixion, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And in addition to these representations, we find in this painting a lot of typical images from the Romanesque art. For example, the fantastic animals, plants, a lot of geometrical symbols. And this iconography is used to convey the teaching of morality to the ones who visits this church, as well as inspire devotion and admiration to these religious symbols. In this period of art, it was common that these paintings were made by a group of anonymous artists, and most of the cases were a collective that were under the supervision of master's craftsmen or workshop leaders. So it is not, for this reason, it's not possible that just one person have the rights of this piece of art. it's something very representative about this period, the collective work, and obviously it's shown in this church. And that was my presentation, and I hope that you liked the video. I hope that you found the information useful, and well, I think that this topic is very interesting because, at least in my opinion, I didn't know a lot of things about this period of art, and I found it very interesting because of the construction of this church. For example, the materials, the feeling that they try to transmit to the rest of the world. For example, that part of the greatness, the solidity, a feeling of something strong. I think it's very interesting. Also, the construction, like the geometrical shape inside the church, and the way that they build this construction to the believers to follow the right route or the right way. It is something that for me is very interesting. On the other hand, we have the painting that I think it's something really beautiful because it's not just about the religious. Also, we have a lot of specific figures, a lot of history under this painting. So I think that the Romanesque art, it's something very underrated because obviously all we know the other periods of art, for example the Renaissance or the Gothic style in architecture, and I know that there are beautiful buildings, but it is not just about the image that projects. It's also about the history, it's about the materials, it's about the geometrical form, it's about a lot of things. So I think it's something very, very, very interesting, and I really liked search for all this information. So I hope that you found it good, and thank you for your time and your attention.